Hiya Paul, welcome back to the Propagandist channel. It's been a few months, hasn't it, ladies and gentlemen, since we last did something over here. Yeah, all I can really say is that life has been pretty busy these last few months. Over at work, for example, I've been taking on more responsibilities, which does kind of eat into a lot of my time, and given that obviously Propagandist is my second channel, my main channel being my strategist channel where I do a lot of gaming stuff, obviously that takes priority, which has just ended up leaving me with very little time for Propagandist and all that. But it's a Sunday morning and I'm really hoping to sit down and actually get some stuff recorded for the channel, because basically two things that I'm actually aiming to do today. So number one, first thing, which is the big news of course in the RWBY fandom, the first episode of the Dusk Queen fan project is now available on YouTube, ladies and gents. So the chapter one, it's called Growing Pains, and it came out obviously 7 days ago as I'm going to record this, so it's taken me a few days to actually get to it, but we're here, and I'm kind of looking forward to it because it's been a while obviously since I did my Let's Watch of the trailer for Dusk Queen, so I only really remember snippets of it, but I think if I remember correctly this is going to be a very Weiss-centric storyline. It's going to be predominantly focused on her, which I'm all here for. You know, Weiss is obviously my favourite RWBY character. She's a great, character overall when you look at her development over the course of the official RWBY franchise. But yeah, I mean, everything obviously we saw of the trailer back in the day was that it looked very promising. You know, the visuals looked really good, the animation looked really smooth, the VAs sounded like they were doing a really good job at imitating the official VAs from RWBY itself. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this particular episode. But after I've done that, I am also planning to make a start, finally, on this non-blind retrospective Let's Watch of RWBY Volumes 1 to 4, which I've been flipping hinting that I'm going to do for some time, and I've just never got around to actually doing it. So I'm hoping today that I actually sit down and finally make a start on this. So at the very least, I'm hoping to record the red, white, black and yellow trailer, some non-blind Let's Watches of those, possibly a bit more if time permits, depending on how much I end up talking about in my little commentaries on either side and all. But yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to it, ladies and gentlemen. Thing is, I've really sometimes I just have to sit down and make time for this kind of thing, otherwise Propagandist can very easily sort of slip into, the background and I end up not really doing anything on it. Sorry, I'm like spitting all over my monitor, what am I doing? Yeah, but the thing is, I was thinking as well about just the sort of upload schedule for these RWBY videos. And the thing is, given that obviously I'm quite busy and I don't have all the time in the world to do recordings of Let's Watches, I'm thinking this isn't necessarily going to be something where I'm uploading every day. No, I don't think that's going to be possible. So it might be that I have to upload once every week, something like that. So it'll be a bit sort of staggered in terms of uploads, but that might be fine. It all depends ultimately on having time over the weekends just to record 1 or 2 episodes or whatever. So yeah, also special thanks to those of you on the Propagandist channel who've been leaving comments on videos, giving me suggestions about things to react to watch in relation to RWBY. I'll make a note of those, and obviously we can take a look at as many of those as we can, time permitting and all. So thanks, to those of you once again, you know who you are. Yeah, but other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll just get to the episode itself. In fact, actually, no, just before we do that, something actually I should also mention, just as a bit of housekeeping. So obviously at the moment on the Propagandist channel, as I'm going to record this, that is, all of my RWBY content tends to go into one playlist, but actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of separate playlists now from this point onward, because currently, again, as I'm going to record, my Dusk Queen trailer reaction, that's just in the default RWBY playlist, where I also have my Let's Watches of Volumes 5 to 9. But actually I'm thinking, now that we've got Chapter 1 of Dusk Queen, it probably would be better for me to actually just create a separate playlist for Dusk Queen entirely, so that people can find it more easily. And similarly, I think I'll also create a separate playlist for Volumes 1 to 4, because yeah, otherwise if I cram it all into one playlist, it's just going to be a bit of a, probably a bit of an incoherent mess, to put it that way. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. A little bit of housekeeping. Right, now let's get to the actual episode itself, shall we? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey there, Dusk Queen is a fan-based project and is not made for kids. Grown huntsmen and huntresses
Well,
only.
fortunately, I'm not a kid. Also, apologies if you can hear noise in the background from my end. It's just my washing machine. I've got my door to my study shut, so you shouldn't hear it. That should be fine. Oh, turn off stable volume for best experience. Hang on, do I have stable volume disabled? Oh, I do. Okay, that's good. Thank God for that. Okay, well, that's interesting, though, that that's an option. We'll see how this sounds then, shall we? 3, 2, 1, resume. Voices.
I'm not fragile, Ruby.
You don't have to take everything on alone, you know? You have us.
You don't know what it's like.
Then tell me.
What's happened? I don't know. We've got your back, wife. That's what family's for. I'm sorry. This is something I have to do.
Y-centric. I knew it, yeah. So what's happening here? Oh. Damn. I said it in the trailer reaction, I'll say it here. That looks good. The visuals are stunning. Okay, you're off to a promising start. Ooh. Is that the leaf from the tree? Volume 9? Is that a reference to that, or is that just... No. Interesting.
Ruby! Yang? Blake?
VA sounds like Weiss. Weiss's actual VA. Ooh. What are we looking at?
Ruby?
I don't think that's Ruby.
Something?
Is this in your mind, or is this actually happening?
Are you?
Is she you? Yeah, she is.
Recognize us?
Okay. I mean, obviously it's going to be Y-centric because it's called Dusk Queen. Of course. Don't know why I keep asking, is it Y-centric when it obviously is going to be? Oh, wow. Okay. Right, sorry, I'm just going to take a pause. Can I just say, the visuals are great. I know I've just said that already, but can I just say it again? Oh, man. Okay, so this is... Yeah, this is evidently set... Well, I say evidently. I mean, it looks like it's set, obviously, during the Beacon arc, so volumes 1 to 3. And obviously we saw that in the trailer as well, by the looks of it. But thing is, when during volumes 1 to 3 is this set? I mean, it may clarify that in a second. I may be just sort of getting ahead of myself. Right, resume in 3, 2, 1, go. Apologies, I probably will pause quite a lot when there's things I want to say, and I don't want to talk over the characters.
Why'd they have to do this so early in the morning? I'm so tired.
It's your own fault. You wouldn't be suffering half as much if you hadn't stayed up half the night playing games on the school.
Says the one who was last to wake up this morning.
That's not relevant at the moment.
Wow, I haven't seen some of these guys since initiation. I guess time flies when you're having fun.
Risking our lives to take down entire criminal organizations is your idea of fun?
What can I say? I live for the adventure.
Sorry, we're pausing again already. Taking down criminal organisations, is that a reference to the events of Volume 2? You know, the final events where they kind of defeat the White Fang in the tunnels under Vale. So is this set just after Volume 2, maybe? Is that where we are? That's what it maybe sounds like. Possibly? I don't know, I may be building a lot of a very small foundation there. Who knows? Alright, 3, 2, 1, resume.
Adventure.
Uh-huh.
Damascus tip spear! Oh, that's so cool!
It's just a spear, Ruby.
Just a spear? Do you know how long it takes to make Damascus steel? Like, forever! It's made of super...
I don't know who Ruby's VA is, but she sounds just like her.
They're probably in here somewhere. Knowing Pyrrha, they were probably one of the first to even get here.
Well, they better be. Look.
May I have your attention, please? You will be tasked with taking on a mission by yourselves as a team, without the supervision of another huntsman or huntress.
Oh, sir.
The available tasks are presented on the mission boards around the theater. Choose your missions wisely, students. This will be your first hunt without help, which means we can't guarantee your safety should something go wrong. These missions will also become a part of your final grade for this year. So please, try not to get in over your heads.
So this is that confirmation? This is just after Volume 2?
Now we can take on all the cool stuff.
Yeah, and Osmond won't have to bend the rules.
They're making lots of references to Volume 2.
Let's see what's left.
Okay, I think,
This
yeah.
time we can have a normal hunt.
I don't think our team understands what normal is.
I think, yeah, we are definitely after Volume 2 then.
Now, let's see.
Ooh, what about this one? Recon. Suspicious figures seen in the night stacking boxes on an abandoned refinery site.
Forget that. Look at this one. Giant squid grim a few days out at sea.
Oh yeah, let's do that one.
Pass.
Oh, right, never mind. Let's have a nautical adventure. I would have been up for that.
Another search and destroy mission.
Growing pack of beowulfs spotted south of the Emerald Forest. Aid requested ASAP. Now that sounds like fun.
That sounds far too good to be true. Any huntsman would be able to deal with a pack like that.
Maybe we just got here first? You know, early bird gets the worm? Or the wolf? Wolves?
How big of a pack?
Doesn't say. But they're just beowulfs. Live our teamwork? How hard could it be?
Oh, I'm straight into the combat. Okay, wait. So, sorry, I'm just taking another pause. Sorry, I know I'm kind of interrupting a nice action-packed moment here. But, okay, so that feels like it definitely confirms this is just after the events of Volume 2. Because they were talking about, this is your first mission going out unsupervised. Which, to me, one can infer from that previously they were on supervised missions, which would track with Volume 2. And, obviously when they go outside the Vale with Oobleck and all that. Okay, so no references to anything happening in Volume 3, so yeah, it's got to be between Volume 2 and 3 then. Alright, well that answers that question that I had then, just in terms of when exactly this was going to be set. Alright, 3, 2, 1, resume. Ooh. The animation is smooth. They've done well, the makers of this, from what we've seen so far. Oof. It's like a classic old RWBY fight scene, flowing nicely with the music and everything. And speaking of music, sounds like they put the effort into the soundtracks as well. Oh god. I think you got this. Oh. I was about to say, I think Yang's got this, don't worry. And Blake came in. That's like a reference to Volume 1.
Thanks for the save.
Is it? Kit Kat?
Don't
Okay.
say that.
They're trying to insert some Bumblebee moments here. Well, you got surrounded very quickly then.
Actually, what's that for?
Ruby, watch where you're going.
Sorry.
Oh, God, okay. Is that like the red trailer? Where she was carving up the wolves? I feel like we're getting some references in this combat sequence. Oh, that's a problem.
On it.
Definitely feels like a reference to the red trailer. Oh, you okay there? Yeah, it definitely feels like a reference to the red trailer with all the carving up of the wolves.
Team RWBY.
My poor baby.
Oh, it's frozen again.
You almost got both of us killed.
I almost got us killed.
Maybe if you gave me the slightest hint of what you were doing, then I could have been better prepared.
That expression tells me this is a regular occurrence, is it?
Notice, but I was also dealing with Grim.
Ladies, you're both beautiful.
You're one to talk. You and Blake have no issues working together. However, I'm stuck here with a dunce who doesn't even know how to use her words.
Well, excuse me, princess. Maybe if you didn't worry so much about your form, you'd be able to keep up with me.
What's that supposed to mean?
You froze, Crescent Rose.
The consequence.
Are we back to volume 1?
How is that my fault?
Clearly, you don't understand the concept of communication.
Well, you don't understand the concept of listening. Yeah.
That makes no sense.
You make no sense.
Okay. Walk.
But
Don't make me repeat myself.
Well, at least we've got the big sister to help out.
you know what? Well, excuse me. You're excused.
Well, I still have Wes's card if you want to book another counseling session.
Give them time, Yang. They'll come around eventually.
I just can't tell you something. Take it back.
I'm pretty sure eventually ended a while ago.
Come on. Let's follow them before they start again.
Yeah. You're right. Hey, lovebird. Wait up.
It's kind of interesting, though, in terms of the characterization. Lovebirds. Is that what they just said? Sorry, I shouldn't be talking over them. I should be pausing again, as I was doing before. Oh. Okay, something stalking through the forest. Obviously, is that it? Are we done? Ah, credits. Omiya Sai Connolly, that's who it's directed by. Written by Connolly, Thrash, Kema, Kazwani Cope. Voices. Weiss by Abby Brenner. Reflection Weiss. There's about several voice VAs here for Reflection Weiss. Is Reflection Weiss the one we saw in the beginning? That sort of ghoulish apparition thing? Okay, RWBY was by Tina McKell, Blake by Ari Thrash, and Yang Xiaolong by Zippy. I love how you've just got full names there. Abby Brenner, Tina McKell, Ari Thrash, and then Zippy. Yeah. Well, I have to say, they did do a good job, the VAs there. I might talk about that a bit more in a second when we actually go to the final thoughts and all. But, yeah, let's just let this credits roll for the moment, ladies and gentlemen, because we've got some good concept art in the background here. Right, 3, 2, 1, resume. Yeah, it was pretty impressive, though, for what it was. Obviously, that's just a, introductory episode. Just setting up some of the basics. Bring the characters in. Ooh. New white outfit. Dropping when? By the looks of it. Well, it's concept art, maybe. Or was that actually the outfit worn by the ghoul apparition in the beginning? Might have been, actually. Wow. That was really impressive, that was. Oh. You're interested in the original soundtrack? There you go. Look for it on streaming platforms, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, was that made in Blender? Oh, we're nearly done. Okay. Wow, okay. A Blender production, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty impressive, must say. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's go to a jump cut here and let's get some final thoughts out of that. There's plenty of things I could talk about there, ladies and gentlemen. So, see you in a second. Alright, where should I start then? Like I said, there's plenty for me to get my teeth into there. I mean, obviously I could start just by sort of reiterating what I've kind of already said before in terms of the visuals and the animation were gorgeous there. That was really promising as an opening to this fan project. So the visuals were really colourful, the animation was really smooth, particularly in that combat sequence there. Felt like, you know, the animators on this team were really taking that opportunity to show what they could do, and I think they succeeded very much in that sense, so that's definitely a good job towards them. That definitely engages my attention and really makes me want to see what, you know, how this fan project progresses and all that. So I don't know when Chapter 2 necessarily is going to be released there, but I'll be keeping my eyes peeled, no doubt. I'm sure actually the devs probably have social medias, you know, social media pages where they probably are posting updates in terms of when we can expect certain things to be released by and all that. So maybe I should be following them over on some of those. That probably would be very helpful. But yeah, apart from obviously visuals and animation quality, obviously there's loads of other stuff as well that's quite interesting within that. So I think we've very much firmly established the temporal setting here as being between volumes 2 and 3. Apologies if the lighting on my webcam is flickering, by the way. It's just a budget webcam, it always does that. Hopefully it's not too distracting. So yeah, we've established the temporal setting as being between volumes 2 and 3. Great. The other thing, or one of the other things that I also thought was quite interesting in that was RWBY and Weiss's dynamic that we saw there, particularly after the combat sequence. So it very much felt like, you know, very reminiscent of early Volume 1 when they were constantly arguing and bickering at each other, which I think is an interesting take in this one, because that actually is something which I feel like I've seen elements of the fandom who've been more critical of RWBY, you know, those more critical elements who sort of sometimes go back to kind of volumes 1 and 2 and sort of say that, you know, after volume 1 it felt like a lot of Weiss's negative qualities sort of just kind of vanished a bit, which on one level I sort of get where that criticism is coming from, though I'm not entirely sure I 100% agree with it. But yeah, I think it's good to see how this fan project is perhaps complementing some of the stuff that we saw in official RWBY, by the looks of it, by actually maybe shining a bit of a lens on the development of the relationship between RWBY and Weiss and showing that, you know, it wasn't just a case of after Volume 1 Weiss mellowed out. She did, you know, it's not that she completely mellowed out immediately. That obviously will have been a gradual process. So that's interesting. There's something else I had in mind as well. Yeah, speaking of obviously like criticisms that, you know, sometimes people have levied at RWBY, I think, you know, we got also some good character moments between the main four there, because obviously, you know, obviously like with Weiss and RWBY of course arguing, but then Yang also stepping in to sort of break up the argument and be quite forceful, and also a bit more dynamic between her and Blake as well, with Yang trying to nickname her. And you know, it being pointed out that Yang and Blake do work fairly well together, that kind of thing. Which, yeah, brings me to, I think, something else that sometimes I've noticed elements of the fandom criticise early volumes of RWBY for. Because I've sometimes seen people say that, you know, the early RWBY volumes feel like sometimes they don't always focus on the main four characters when they should, and as a result we end up getting character development of side characters over the main four, which... that's a criticism that on one level I sort of get where they're coming from, because yes, in Volume 1 for example, you know, you have development of Weiss first and foremost, and then suddenly it veers off with Jean for a bit, and then it goes back to the main four obviously with Blake. And so yeah, on one level I sort of get where that's coming from, those criticisms, though honestly I don't entirely agree with them, because you still get some good character moments in Volume 1 for the main four. So I'm a bit sort of yes and no about that criticism personally. But it's good to see, I suppose really the kind of key point I'm getting at there is, it's good to see how this fan project is perhaps starting out by focusing on the main four, giving us a few character development moments with them, just to set up what their arcs are going to be, probably. Particularly Weiss, especially, given that she is the focal point of this by the looks of it. Which I think is reinforced by the fact that on the credits there, it was Weiss's VA who was first and foremost, not RWBY. So yeah, that reminds me actually, Ice Queendom. That's also very Weiss-centric as well, isn't it? Come to think of it. And I suppose Weiss as a character is just a very interesting one for elements of the fandom and for other spin-offs in RWBY, just to use her as the focal point in terms of the characterisation, the character development and story, that kind of thing, which I'm all here for. I've said it before, Weiss is always my favourite character in this show, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see more and more stuff that's focused around her. And speaking of course of Ice Queendom, I need to do a reaction to that as well. I feel like I have vague recollections that I have seen the first episode of Ice Queendom, but then again, I feel like I don't really remember all that much of it. So, I need to do a reaction to it on the channel at some point. I just don't know what the copyright status is around it in terms of, can you just upload reactions to entire episodes of it, or do you have to chop them up a bit to avoid copyright claims, that kind of thing? I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But yes, Ice Queendom, that's something else that I need to do on the channel at some point. There was another thought that I had about this. What was it? I was also thinking as I was watching that there's not, as far as I'm aware, really been any news from Viz Media about the future of RWBY, official RWBY and all that. Because last I checked, and admittedly this was several weeks ago, Viz Media obviously has worked to get RWBY Volumes 1 to 9 back uploaded online for people to watch on streaming platforms. I think that's the case. I feel like I've seen that somewhere. But in terms of what Viz Media is going to do with RWBY long term, I don't know if there's really been any news on that front. I've not heard if there's been any news about Volume 10 or anything like that. As far as I'm aware, that's still kind of up in the air at the moment. I don't know. We don't know what's going on with that. So it makes me think, in terms of the future of RWBY and where it's going, it is pleasing to see these kind of fan projects like this, because maybe that is partially the future of RWBY. Maybe it's about the fandom perhaps taking on aspects of the franchise and building on them with projects of their own. It makes me think actually of something like so I'm about to make a comparison here, which please bear with me whilst I make it, and you'll see why I make it. But I was thinking obviously of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, and I know this is going to sound random, but bear with me. Like I say, I'm not a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. I've never played really any of the Sonic games other than just dabbling in them on occasion. But I was watching Super Eye Patch Wolf, his Sonic the Hedgehog video, The Bizarre Modern Reality of Sonic, and something that was fascinating watching that is how the fandom of Sonic the Hedgehog, for all of the franchise's missteps and for all of the uncertainty about the franchise at times, how sometimes the fandom has really stepped up and created some amazing unofficial entries in the franchise, some great fan projects in terms of fan games, that kind of thing. And that makes me think that, with the RWBY fandom, could it be something similar in terms of, even if we don't get any official new instalments in RWBY, the fandom itself might actually kind of take up the slack and actually keep the franchise alive through incredible fan works like this. So, I don't know, just an interesting thought that I think is well worth mentioning at this stage. So yeah, there you go, folks. So like I say, I think there was a lot to love in that first episode. The VAs, sorry if I'm repeating myself here, but the VAs did a great job there in terms of imitating the official VAs of the main four in RWBY. Because, RWBY sounded exactly like RWBY. Weiss certainly sounded like Weiss throughout most of that. Blake sounded a lot like Blake's official voice actress. Yang, I think, was the one who sounded a little bit different, but still, it very much had that Yang vibe to it. So, real good job to the four VAs of the main characters there. You know, they've put a lot of effort into that clearly, and it's paid off, I would say. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Dusk Queen progresses. Like I say, I'll have to look for their social medias just to try and follow them over on there to keep up to date with when Chapter 2 is going to be released and all that. So that's that, ladies and gentlemen. So before I do an outro, what I'll say is, obviously I hinted at the start of the video that as part of this recording session I'm also wanting to make a start on the Let's Watch of volumes 1 to 4. So I'm hoping, you know, to at the very least get my reaction to the 4 trailers for volume 1 this recording session as well. If time permits, I'll see if I can record another episode of volume 1 as well. It depends on how time goes, like I say, just because as part of this recording session I also want to do some stuff for my Strategist channel, because the thing is I've also got some Let's Watch content going on there. Let's Watching various backrooms and liminal space content on YouTube. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, check out my Strategist channel. But I want to try and get some stuff on that, stuff in that regard recorded as well. So like I say, I've got a few things I want to do this recording session. So if time permits, you know, hopefully we'll get a lot of RWBY stuff done, just to, you know, give me a start on that. But that also ties in, like I said at the start of the video, with the upload schedule for these. Given that, you know, I'm quite pressed for time sometimes, between obviously recording plenty of content for my Strategist channel and of course with IRL commitments for work and all that, it does mean that Propagandist sometimes, you know, has to take a bit of a back seat. So what I'm going to, like I say, what I'm going to try and aim to do is aim to maybe get a RWBY video out on the Propagandist channel once every week or so, roughly. If I can get it a bit more frequently than that, then I'll try and do that. But yeah, I think maybe a weekly upload schedule probably is the way forward, perhaps. So we'll see how that goes, ladies and gentlemen. It might go well, it might not. It may be that there's occasionally gaps, I don't know, we'll see. So I would ask basically for your patience, ladies and gentlemen, throughout this process. Like I say, I will try and keep things uploaded on a, you know, relatively regular schedule, but please do bear in mind there may be occasions where there might be slight gaps depending on how busy work is, because particularly over the last few weeks work has been very, very busy for me, because I've been taking on lots of responsibility at work, and that obviously eats into some of my time, and particularly recently in the last few weeks I've been doing a lot of marking of dissertations, and of course they're like 15,000 words, they take frigging hours and hours to mark. Among other things, and I've had to take on a load of lecture preparation responsibilities at short notice, so that's been eating into a load of my time as well. So yes, please, in essence, this is just a long-winded way of me saying please do bear with me, in essence, ladies and gentlemen. Right, well, you know, that aside, I think I will wrap this episode up here so I can get cracking on with my, you know, making a start at last on recording some stuff for RWBY volumes 1 to 4. So I hope you enjoyed that, as I did, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you stick around for more when it becomes available. I mentioned earlier, didn't I, that I'm probably going to make separate playlists for Dusk Queen and for RWBY volumes 1 to 4. Yeah, basically just to avoid my main playlist becoming incoherent. I think I did mention that before. Yeah. So, outro spiel, as usual. As already mentioned, my main channel is General Strategist, where I do gaming content predominantly. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, link is in the video description, along with the social media links associated with that. And other than that, I hope you stick around for more RWBY content coming very, very soon, hopefully. So other than that, this is me signing off now. Goodbye, everybody.